So good morning, Redbourn, and good morning, everybody. Good morning, world. My name's Simon. I don't know why I have to read this out because I always know my name's Simon, but anyway, I'm delighted to welcome everyone joining today's Zoom Live, and also to say hello to the large number of people who watch and listen to it later on. As we were just discussing before we went live, many people now, because of work commitments or other domestic commitments, don't actually join us live here, but listen to it later, which is lovely. And hello to you all. The Active in Redbourn team all hope you enjoy today's penultimate Zoom. The usual brief housekeeping message, which I do get very bored with reading, but it is important. People joining are automatically muted with their video turned off. And if you want to preserve your anonymity, it's ironic really, by the way, that I finally got to be able to say that word correctly as we near the end of this series. Anyway, if you want to preserve your anonymity still further, you can change your name in Zoom. You can use the chat function to send messages. This is now being live streamed to the Redbourners Facebook page, and as we've just discussed, it is now global and being recorded, and later on will be on the Active in Redbourn website. If I've forgotten anything or need to be corrected, I'm inviting our wonderful producer and IT director to chip in now.
You're fine, Simon.
I'm fine. I love it when you say that, Olive. Thank you very much. Okay, so before we get going, I just wanted a very quick message to all the England football fans out there to say congratulations on getting through the group stage and into the next round. Commiserations if there's any Scottish football supporters on the call. And there we go, really. Now, this is the penultimate news bite, as I've said, and I feel it's okay for me to be a tiny bit and very briefly self-indulgent. 203 years ago yesterday, the poet John Keats stopped at the Bull Inn on the High Street on his way to Scotland. And we heard all about the Bull Inn last week from Ross Cook, the dendrochronologist. Fantastic title for somebody. And as this is the penultimate news bite, and as Keats stopped in Redbourn 203 years ago yesterday, I'm allowing myself this tiny bit of indulgence, and I'm going to read a very short extract from one of his letters. Very, very short indeed. I am certain of nothing but of the holiness of the heart's affections and the truth of imagination. What the imagination seizes as beauty must be truth, whether it existed before or not, for I have the same idea of all our passions as of love. They are all in their sublime, creative of essential beauty. There we go. I love that quote. I had it on my wall at university, and I didn't actually need to read it because I could memorize it, but I think it's a beautiful, beautiful extract from a wonderful letter. Right, and on with the show. We have another full and interesting program for you today, although we're still waiting for a couple of people. I'm going to begin with an update from... Who am I going to begin with an update from?
You're gonna get an update from Sarah, but I can't see her online yet.
Okay, in that case, can I... By the way, everybody, we're not the BBC. As you probably gathered, can I? In that case, if it's okay, I'd like to go straight to Will. Will, I think, are you out there? I think you are.
Good morning, Simon.
Good morning, Will. How are you today?
Good. Yeah, very well, thank you.
Good. Have you been rushing around? I got your email saying that you might be cutting it fine. Have you been rushing around, running, or anything like that this morning?
A couple of services this morning. So yeah. Okay.
Well, good of you to make it on time. Particularly because we're obviously still waiting for our health update. So.
That's all right. We could sit here and talk about our own health and ailments, but that's probably not very edifying for anyone else.
Absolutely. It reminds me, actually, have you ever read, I bet you have, because you've read everything that I've ever asked you. Have you ever read Three Men in a Boat by Jerome K. Jerome?
Yes, I love it. It's one of
Brilliant,
my favorites.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
I always remember, I haven't read it in years, but I always remember the bit in it where they're discussing all their ailments, and the only one they haven't got is housemaid's knee. And it always made me giggle.
Absolutely, I love it, and they're so wonderfully sort of incompetent. You know, sort of after George had wiped the butter off his slipper, he put it in the kettle. You know, it's just like this pandemonium going on in this boat. Yeah, it's a great book. I just think it's wonderful.
Super.
Have you read the follow-up, Three Men in a Bummel?
I think I did, but so long ago I can't remember anything about that one. Was it good?
Yes, yeah, also very good, but much less well known.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, so anyway, moving on from our own ailments and my outbreak of housemaid's knee, you have a little update for us today, which we're looking forward to hearing. So over to you.
Thank you, Simon. They say you can tell a Wykehamist, that is somebody who attended Winchester College, by their manners. Perhaps it's something to do with their school motto, manners maketh man. But let's be clear, those who attended a very famous and rather expensive educational establishment don't have the corner on good manners. It is something we try and bring up our children with, and something we should seek to express in our daily dealings with others. But in all of this, there's an important distinction to be made, I think. Etiquette is designed to exclude those outside the inner circle. Manners, by contrast, are designed to include them by putting others at
I've sent
ease.
it. I don't think you've received it. Sometimes it goes into the stratosphere. Are you going?
Chris, we can all hear you, by the way, Chris.
Oh.
We're not, by the way, Will, sorry about this. Everybody
That's
else,
all right.
we're not the BBC. Sorry, Will.
No, that's okay. I don't know what Chris has sent. We'll find out later.
We'll find out later, yeah.
So the difference between those, I think etiquette and manners is important, and to set out the difference, an example between the Edwardian dowager hostess who ate slowly, spinning out her meal until she was sure even her most tardy guest had finished eating, and compare that with the rather strict and bossy stepmother who actually wrote to her son's betrothed, telling her not to start eating before everyone else or take additional helpings before being invited. Styles of courtesy change over the years. Manners are a sign of the times. And for all those who didn't quite catch that, yes, tines, as in the prongs of a fork. To eat peas politely, by the way, they should be crushed onto the fork with the tines pointing downwards, never scooped. Just as you would never tilt your soup bowl towards you. It's also rude to take photographs while eating, one guide tells us. Photographs in our house would never have happened. We were too busy scoffing to be taking a photo. Everyone and everywhere is very different on this. Never eat or pass anything at table with your left hand in Africa or the Middle East, that hand being reserved for wiping your bottom. There are all manners or a manner of singularities. In Japan, you should use the reverse end of your chopsticks to retrieve food from the communal bowl, not the end which has been in your mouth. In Cambodia, if you finish everything on your plate, it means you want more. In Japan, it's rude not to clear your bowl. Much of this is arbitrary. In England, food is served from the right, but drink from the left. Fish bones may be extracted from the mouth with the fingers, but every other unpleasant object should be removed with the fork. Cutlery should be placed on the outer rim of the plate between bites and never, heaven forfend, rested like a gangplank between the plate and table. Napkins should be used to dab the mouth, but never to wipe it, says Debrett's, the self-appointed expert on all such things. Well, I'll leave you to decide which etiquettes to observe as each hearer today eats their repast. But I will say that at the heart of good manners is the importance to say thank you. As it has been said, it costs nothing and means everything. Thank you should be something that trips off our tongues with ease and regularity as we go about our daily lives. Thankfulness, however we hold our cutlery, is about appreciating the other, recognizing that we have been the beneficiary of a gift or an action from another, and we recognize that and give thanks. It's also at the heart of the Christian tradition. In fact, the communion service that we celebrate with bread and wine is often known as the Eucharist. That word Eucharist is derived from a Greek word, Eucharisto, which means to give thanks. We give thanks to God for Jesus, for his death and resurrection, and we follow his command to take and bless and share bread and wine in remembrance of him as we give thanks. So what do you want to give thanks for today? I want to give thanks for the England football team, that despite rather struggling and stuttering performances, we've topped our group at the Euros and now proceed to the last 16. I want to give thanks for the fact that they are a really young side on the whole, with one player only 17 years old, and that bodes well for the future of our national side. But moving away from football, I think I want to give thanks today for the life and brilliance of Alan Turing. Today, a new £50 note enters circulation for the first time, the last of the new plastic-style banknotes to be introduced, and it bears a picture of Turing to honour his memory. I have to say, I don't really carry £50 notes around with me much for obvious reasons. So I may not see one for a long time, but I will keep an eye out. And in the meantime, I give thanks that they chose Turing for the design. He replaces James Watt and Matthew Boulton, steam engine pioneers who graced the old £50 notes. But Turing feels a better and more contemporary choice. I am somewhat biased because Alan Turing was educated in Sherborne, Dorset, the town of my birth and where my parents still live. His brilliance in mathematics helped accelerate Allied efforts to read German naval messages enciphered using the Enigma machine, and so shortening World War II and saving lives. He was also pivotal in the development of early computers, first at the National Physical Laboratory and later at the University of Manchester. The choice to place him on the note is also designed to promote diversity. The Bank of England is flying the Progress Pride flag above its building in London's Threadneedle Street today to recognise improvements since his appalling treatment by the state for being gay. In 2013, he was given a posthumous royal pardon for his 1952 conviction for gross indecency. He had been arrested after having an affair with a 19-year-old Mancunian man and was forced to take female hormones as an alternative to prison. He died at the age of just 41, with an inquest recording his death as suicide. So I want to give thanks for his achievements and his life, albeit too short, and for the fact that whilst much is still to be done to counter prejudice and fear for the LGBTQI community, we have made some steps in the right direction. A week next Sunday, on the 4th of July, is Thank You Day. Now, I'm not generally a big fan of these themed days. There are so many, and they cease to be very meaningful. But I am keen on this one. It was originally the idea of 13 individuals in communities right across the UK, bodies ranging from the Scouts and the Guides to Rotary and the Royal Voluntary Service, the NHS, the Mirror and the Sun newspapers, the Football Association, and even the Church of England have adopted the idea of Thank You Day. The idea behind it is that everyone can thank people who've made a difference to them this year. It's an opportunity to encourage thankfulness in our community, to thank those who've supported us and helped us in all sorts of ways. But we don't need to wait 10 days to say thank you. We could start practicing today. Who do you want to say thank you to? And how will you say it?
Well, the first thing I'll say, Will, is thank you.
That's kind.
I mean, there's so much in that. I mean, obviously I was a little bit aware about the tragic story of Alan Turing, who was a wonderful guy, and what a just an absolutely terrible state of affairs that led to his death. You know, well, there aren't any words, are there? It's just absolutely awful, absolutely awful. And I'm so pleased with the £50 note. Not that it does him much good, I guess, but at least it's, as you say, it's a recognition that things are hopefully moving in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just a quick word on diversity. You and I have had a few chats about that. What do you think about? Do you think we're not just Redbourn? I mean, do you think society is heading in the right direction, or not?
Yes and no. Yes, I think we're more aware of our diversity. I'm not sure we're ready to embrace it fully. And I think there's a lot about the mixed blessings of social media and so on. There's quite a big thing at the moment about trying to stamp out sort of messages of hate, the misuse of social media. Quite a lot of high profile sort of actors and sports stars have been kind of getting behind that. And obviously there's been a bit of a thing with some sports people sort of having a media blackout in protest to the way that perhaps there's not enough regulation. So I think we're aware of our diversity. I'm not sure it's always being embraced and celebrated in the way that it could. So I think there's much more to be done.
At
I
least,
don't know if that's an answer, but it's a sort of a yes and no. Yes, okay, but more to do kind of school report. I think.
That's exactly what I was going to say. What the sort of thing that teacher used to write in my report? More effort needed, or something.
Yeah,
I used to get that comment a lot. Okay, well, thank you very much, Will, for that very insightful and interesting. Again, as always, we could talk about your contribution all day, but we've got other people to talk to. So thank you so much.
No, my pleasure.
We'll catch up with you again on the final Newsbite next week. Thanks, Will.
Thank you, Simon.
Cheers. Thank you. Now, we've got a wonderful surprise because I wasn't expecting to see the wonderful Sarah Brindley, but the wonderful Sarah Brindley is now on live. Good morning.
Hello, good morning. No, it's a surprise to me too. But
so I sort of got that impression from young Chris Emmel very, very briefly, in the very brief interchange we had. First of all, I have to ask Sarah, how's Harpenden today?
It's good. In fact, I actually went outside about half an hour ago. I had to just catch someone in the car park, and I thought, oh, isn't this glorious? It's so lovely today. Compared to the last few days, it's so nice to see that warm sun again, and it's fantastic. Yeah, it's looking great.
The weather has been so up and down, hasn't it? We've had sort of glorious sunshine a week or so ago, and then we had those few days of dreadful. I guess it's good. Someone said to me, it's good for the triffids.
Is it?
Apparently,
good.
It's good
to know.
For triffids and gardening in general.
No. I mean, I must admit, the grass is looking rather lush. So
absolutely.
It's great to see. But I was wearing a thick jumper yesterday, and now I'm sorry, I'm wearing black. I never like to do Redbourn Newsbite in black. I do like to wear something bright and cheerful. But so sorry, you've got me in black today.
Not to worry. Anyway, so have you got a little mini update for us?
I've got a very mini Newsbite.
Very mini update. Okay.
Very mini, because actually I wasn't aware I was coming on. So basically we've vaccinated, it's well over 32,000 now patients, and we're currently, as you're probably aware, we're doing over 18s, 18 plus, so all adults are now being invited for their first Pfizer vaccination, with the view that they have the second one in 8 weeks' time. One more thing about the vaccine is it can take approximately, at least really, 2 weeks to show the vaccine on the NHS app. A lot of people are using that to be able to show that this is what I've had done. So if you're traveling, etc., there you are. It does take at least 2 weeks to get on there because it has to go through quite a big process to get that far. If there is a problem, however, and you're not seeing it, say 3 weeks later and thinking, oh, it's still not there, and you're worried, you need to contact the place where you had that vaccine. There's no point ringing a GP surgery, there's no point ringing the Harpenden Halls if you had it done in St Albans or Watford or wherever, Luton. If you had it done at the Harpenden Halls, you can ring the Harpenden Halls to check, and we then put it on the Pinnacle system, which is the national system. We then put it on there, and then it gets transferred onto the NHS app. But we cannot do it if we didn't do that vaccine, because it just it's not possible. So you have to contact wherever you actually had the vaccination. One last thing, not vaccine related, but you're probably aware of, there has been numerous articles in the press regarding the, it's under the general practice data for planning and research, and it's a system, information from the GP surgeries in England is going to be gathered by NHS Digital. And the time for opting out has been extended to the 1st of September. Now, the reason for this is to allow NHS Digital to do a proper public engagement, which the first deadline, half the country hadn't even heard about it because they hadn't actually done any communications on it. And to be fair, we only heard about it again through the media. The thing is, it has been delayed. The way to opt out, I think it's called a type. I think it's called. I looked it up earlier. It was a type 1 opt-out form that then you send to your GP practice. But if you go onto NHS Digital, it is quite clear where to go and what to do. it makes me wonder whether it will even go ahead. If they've delayed it once, it may be delayed again, because if people feel that the public feels that there hasn't been a good enough public engagement, then it might go the same way that care.data went, which was just, oh, it's cancelled and everybody forgot about it.
Yeah.
So, you know, we'll watch this space. But my advice is that because there's a lot of information goes out with this into research, and there are concerns about who are those people that are going to get that information.
Yeah.
So it is worth reading through NHS Digital's data, you know, what they say about it, get some information, make sure you have an informed decision on it yourself, because there's two sides. It is amazing for research, so that this gives, you know, the government or NHS England a real direct information about what's happening with the health of our nation. However, at the same time, you want to know that your data is safe, and you want to know who it's going to. So please have a look, have a read, make sure it's an informed decision that you make, and then get those forms sent off by the 1st of September, and we'll do the rest. And that's me. Thank you once again for your support and kindness from everybody who's listening, and particularly our patients in Redbourn.
Well, thank you, Sarah, especially for filling in at the last minute.
No, it's a pleasure.
Just before you go, I have to ask you, following the conversation we had last week on Dark Side of the Moon, I just wondered whether you played it in the last week. That's all. Simple.
I
Yes or no.
do know my assistant manager. I have listened to it because my assistant manager's phone, when it goes, plays it, at least one of them, one track or another, every time the phone goes. So I do hear it quite regularly anyway.
Oh, fantastic.
But unfortunately, I haven't had any hot water, so my bath listening to Dark Side of the Moon has been unfortunately halted for the time being, but it has just been fixed yesterday, so hopefully a hot bath again and Dark Side of the Moon to follow.
Oh, brilliant. And if your assistant manager doesn't mind giving me his or her number, I'll call and then you can hear it again. I can hear that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
I'll
make sure you get that.
We'll take that offline. Sarah, thank you very much. It's lovely to see you as always.
All right, take care.
Goodbye, Harvey from Redbourn.
Bye, everybody.
Catch you soon. Bye. Now, obviously, good morning again, everybody. Those of you that dialed in a little bit later, we've obviously had to move things around a little bit because of people getting at different times. I'd now like to move on to Amy Green. Amy, I think you're out there. I can see your name on the screen, but I can't see you yet.
She just needs to unmute herself.
Okay, Amy, if you can hear me.
Here she is.
Oh,
hello.
Amy. Good morning. Good morning. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Exceptional. Exceptional. And all the better for seeing you.
Oh, thank you.
Now, it's so nice of you to do. Now, I guess a lot of people will first of all want to know what on earth is the Blue Tangerine charity, and do blue tangerines exist? So sort of two questions there. Can we start with that, Amy?
So the Urban Dictionary states that the blue tangerine is uniquely beautiful.
What actually is it? A blue, just a tangerine that's blue, sort of thing. Is it? Am I missing something? Or? Okay, so what does your charity do, Amy? And obviously, on a serious note, basically leading into why you're on this call with us today? It's obviously to Luke's, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, so the Blue Tangerine charity is a registered charity, and we have a cafe as part of that that is run by our students from 3 of our schools. We're part of the Blue Tangerine Federation, hence the Blue Tangerine charity, and our schools are St Luke's School in Redbourn, we have the Collette School in Hemel Hempstead, and we have Forest House Education Centre in Radlett.
Okay, and is your cafe, is this the one that we all saw at the village market the other week?
Yes, it would have been, yes.
Oh no, which was serving delicious coffee, because I had one. It was really, really nice, actually.
Oh, lovely. That's lovely to hear.
So does this go around everywhere, or how does it sort of operate, this cafe?
It does. So it's a mobile run cafe. Yeah. It goes out to events. We did a few events with NHS for their staff wellbeing. And we went to their hospitals. We went to Hemel Hospital, we went to Watford Hospital, and we went to St Albans Hospital, and we served teas, coffees, hot chocolates and cookies to the staff there.
And is it run by the pupils at the school, or?
It is, yeah. So our pupils have got their barista training, food hygiene, and obviously all their experience within the horse box as well.
Fantastic. I bet that must be great for them. They must really enjoy that, I'm guessing.
They do really enjoy it.
I'm just thinking about barista training. I don't know about you. Every time I go to a coffee place, like a Cafe Nero or somewhere like that, and you see what they have to do to make a simple cup of coffee, I think I could never do that. I think I could never just work those machines. But hats off to the people that do, and great that they've learned how to do it properly.
Absolutely. I did the training myself, and it's a lot to take in. So it's just the way they picked it up is just amazing.
Good stuff. Now, I believe you have a fun event on the August bank holiday. Is that right? Would you like to tell us?
We do.
Tell everybody a little bit about that, or a lot about that. The floor is yours.
So we're hosting a charity fun day on Monday the 30th of August. It's in collaboration with Transitions UK, another registered charity, and it's to raise funds for both the Blue Tangerine charity and Transitions UK. So we have lots on the day. We have dog shows, we have stalls from local businesses, we have bouncy castle, live music. There's just lots going on. So we really would recommend that you come along.
And this is all at St Luke's, is it, Amy?
It is. That's held at St Luke's School.
Okay. Is there any way people?
Yes.
What are the times, please, of the event? Do you know?
So it's from 11 till 4.
Right. On August the 30th.
And that's at St Luke's School.
Yeah.
Monday the 30th of August.
Holiday, yes. Super. And obviously the cafe will be there, I'm sure.
It will be, yes. We'll be serving our teas, coffees, hot chocolates. And also we work with the Rustic Bakehouse there, who provide our cookies. So they're going to have a stall there as well. So you can try out all of their delicious goodies too.
The Rustic Bakehouse sounds absolutely lovely. Wow.
Yes,
what
it is.
What a genuine treat in store for people.
Yes.
Super, Amy. Okay, well, listen, that was all I wanted to ask you. Is there anything else before we wrap up with you today that you'd like to say to everybody, other than come along on the 30th?
Yeah, come along on the 30th. And if you see the horse box out and about, then let all your friends know about it and your family, and just help us get the word out there.
Lovely. Amy, thank you very much. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Have a lovely day, and see you on the 30th of August.
Thank you. Thank you very
much.
Day. Bye.
Bye.
Simon, I'm just going to add to that the horse box is bright blue, so I don't think you can miss it. It's probably the only bright blue horse box in Hertfordshire.
Yeah,
if you're looking out for it.
It is a site, isn't it? It's a really, really good site. Thanks, Olive. Okay, now on to David Howell as himself today. Good morning, David. I'm so used to you being a snatch up, but it's quite odd to talk to you as David. So hello, David.
After so many community calls and the news bites and everything, to actually be this side of the fence as a guest. And I have to say, it's a lot more relaxing, actually, now, just being able to talk about the players rather than having to worry about any sort of performance. So
yeah, and then have the other people unmuted and all that sort of thing. But yes, you can chill out now. I also noticed that you're actually showing as David Howell. Have you sort of made the transition yet then from character to your back to yourself? On
yes,
Zoom?
I had problems and sort of I was becoming sort of two people. I was almost becoming sort of schizophrenic as to whether I was a character or not, and what I should say, and whether people should see me. And so it is just nice to be here as
and
just as David Howell and no one else.
At any point did you find yourself actually morphing into the other character? I'm thinking of sort of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde sort of thing. Or were you able at all times to retain your own independence in your own mind?
I was able to retain that independence. I think it was probably more difficult for some of the others who had, obviously, the much bigger parts and carried the story a lot more than me. But the other thing is that you're conscious of then, trying to do a slightly different voice.
Yes.
So you're you, but not you. Yeah. So you do, it's the same. If you are acting, you do become the character, and it's so important that you do just immerse yourself in that part, and that's what enables you to play roles that are not yourself. I mean, when I first started, you were given, parts in plays and, characters that were so different from what you were like, and having to do things. And, I found that quite challenging to begin with, but it is amazing how you can just, immerse yourself in another character and, portray it so convincingly when it is so different from what you are yourself. So
absolutely. Well, we'll talk a little bit about the snatch ups at the end, but because obviously we have the denouement, one of my favourite words, next week.
Yes, indeed.
But today we're talking about Redbourn Players. So what did you want to tell us? Three questions.
Right, well, basically, just sort of 3 parts really. Firstly, a little bit of background of who we are and what we do, and then obviously more detailed information about the upcoming production in a few weeks' time. But yeah, I mean, the Redbourn Players, and I can't believe that there's anyone in the village that doesn't know that they have an amateur drama group in the village. We've been formed since 1966, so Redbourn Players has been around in Redbourn, performing in the village hall for 55 years now. And in that time, we performed probably over 130 productions. I gave it a little count back.
Wow.
And again, that is generally all with local members. We obviously have a few members from outside Redbourn, but the vast majority of the membership has always been from within the village. 130 productions, and that's all in the village hall. And again, that's all genres over the period of time: serious plays, comedy, pantomime, reviews, all kinds of things. And we actually perform 2 productions a year. That's what we mainly do in May and December. And in fact, last year was the first time in the whole of those 55 years that we weren't able to perform once.
Really?
So,
first time?
Absolutely. We had to cancel both productions. And that was the first time that we'd missed since it was formed all that time ago. But yeah, we do 2 major productions open to the public in Redbourn Village Hall, May and December. But we also do regular play readings on a Tuesday. That came in when lockdown started, and that was an initiative we had that we'd always done play readings for the members in the summer when we weren't performing. But that became something that became so important to everyone. It was our opportunity to meet and get together. Over the time when we weren't able to rehearse and no one was able to see each other. And we've kept that going for over a year, every single week. And we still continue to do that on a Tuesday. There's a play reading. And certainly, we would welcome non-members and new members to that if they wanted to get in touch. So...
Now, on membership, David, we had obviously bumped into another briefly yesterday. You wanted to say a little message about encouraging people to join up and get involved?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was going to be another key message for today. A real sort of plea for new members, really, because we're always on the lookout for new members, because we need people, everybody, young, old, male, female. I mean, there are roles for everybody. And certainly it increases what we're able to do if we have a large range of, actors and ages to draw from. So at the moment, I mean, we are certainly short of younger actors. And when I say younger, I mean anyone under 40, to be honest. And it would be just so nice if more people would, come forward and give it a try, because I think it tends to sort of polarize people. I talk to sort of audience members and people say, oh, I could never do that, or this sort of getting up on stage and how do you learn the lines and that sort of business. And really, it's not as daunting as you think. We've had several members who have, joined really as social members or with no intention of acting, and you're just sort of drawn into it. And it's incredible how, I think everyone can do it to a greater or lesser extent. And the other thing is there are all kinds of different size roles. You don't have to be a lead actor. You can be involved in much smaller parts and just learn from there, really. It's a very rewarding activity. And you can learn, you develop new skills, expand horizons. It makes new friends, because it's a very close team experience being in a play. I mean, everyone relies on everybody else, and you know, when it all does go well and you're there at the end and the audience is applauding, it is a fantastic feeling of something, you know, really satisfying, and you really feel that you've achieved something. But so, yeah, we'd love to have new actors. You know, they would get a very warm welcome, and, you know, we're not at all stuffy. I mean, you get this, you know, you hear, you know, that things can be very cliquey, and, you know, certainly we would always give people a chance straight away. We always have. It's not a question of just sort of waiting your turn. You would always get an opportunity straight away. So, yeah, you know, just people wanting, there must be plenty of people who've, you know, want to give it a try, or maybe used to act a bit at school, and, you know, or just come along and see what we do and see what you think. So
how do people get involved in? Where's the contact details, and how do people
get
onto it?
The best way to get in touch with us is through our email. That would be the best way to do it. So, which is just redbournplayers@gmail.com. Obviously, if you know a member, you can speak to, you know, a member at any time, and they'll put you in touch with me or the secretary or one of the committee. But just an inquiry at redbournplayers@gmail.com would be the best way to contact us, I think.
Lovely.
And then we can pick that up and get back to people.
Lovely. Okay. Now you've referenced briefly on a couple of previous occasions the play that you're still hoping to perform. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Is that still going ahead, or?
Yes, it definitely is. I mean, we're deep in rehearsals at the moment, and at the beginning of July we start our set building, which we get into the village hall and start sort of rehearsing on the stage. So just to recap on that, it's Lockdown in Little Grimley by David Tristram. It's a one-act play. It's about 50 minutes. And that's being performed on the 22nd and 23rd and 24th of July, which is a Thursday, Friday and Saturday. Now, the interesting thing about this one is that because it's a shorter play, we're actually performing it twice each evening. We have two casts, two directors, and so there are two sort of versions, if you like, that are actually being done. Now, obviously, this was the play that was cancelled in December, and the reason that we did that, because with all the COVID protocols in place, we didn't want to risk doing a larger production, and so we did the sort of shorter one that which had a shorter rehearsal period. We could do a lot quicker. But the other thing is that we had to limit the capacity, and so if we could only let half the people in, we thought that if we did twice the performances with half the capacity, then we could get the same amount of ticket sales. And we're very much having to do that this time, because effectively, as of now and until the 19th of July, the COVID restrictions are still in place.
Yeah.
And, you know, at the moment, there's no absolute guarantee that they will be lifted. And so we are having to go ahead on the basis that a lot of those protocols will be in place. So as far as, you know, one-way systems and masks and sanitising the seats and ushering people in and out, we are having to currently treat it as if it was a COVID production. So we have, you know, no bar, no refreshments on sale. It's a short performance anyway, so that wouldn't matter. But certainly, when we applied to the council for the temporary event notice, we had to go through the whole rigmarole of the COVID procedures, because they said, as far as we're concerned, it's as of now. So yeah, so we are going to be limiting capacity to a certain extent to 35, hopefully 35 currently per performance, but hopefully if we get the all clear nearer the time, then when the government do announce it, we can increase the numbers. But I think there'll be plenty of tickets to go around, but you just have to pick your time. Okay. So as I say, it's 22nd, 23rd, 24th of July. The performances are at 7 o'clock and 9 o'clock for an hour. Both casts perform each night, and there's details of the two casts. So when you buy the tickets, you can choose the cast that you want to see. So obviously it's up to you, but by all means, people are very welcome to come and see both.
And David, to be clear then, if nothing changes now with government guidelines, they're still going ahead.
Absolutely.
Right.
We are allowed to do it. So we are allowed an audience, but it is much more limited. So the chairs are going to be spaced 2 meters. So instead of rows of seats, obviously there's going to be small groups of seats spread out across the whole floor space. But, you know, I think we've got to a point where people are quite happy with that. They don't expect anything else. We've had that for a year. And if ultimately people do have to sort of sit in small groups and wear a mask, then that's what it would have to be. But hopefully...
Okay, so thanks. And when do tickets go on sale, and where
Right, I was coming to that. Absolutely.
Sorry.
Tickets go on sale on Saturday morning. This Saturday morning, they're available from Ashton's. You can go to Ashton's and purchase them, or again by applying through the email address, redbournplayers@gmail.com, because they're £5 each. So it's a real bargain, just £5 each. So in person from Ashton's, or through the email, which we've set up as being able to sell the tickets remotely. I mean, we're very conscious that so much is done online these days, and if people are not happy, or we live in very much a cashless society. So if they send in an inquiry, then we will get back to them with full details of the tickets, the casts, what they want, and payment details, which they can make directly into the Redbourn Players bank account. So
lovely. And by the way, David, I've just had I get very excited when this happens. I've just had a message in the chat box to say there is a dot in the Redbourn Players email address.
Yeah, there is the dot, but it doesn't matter. I have it on very good authority.
Wow.
The dot, I think that you can use either. If it's redbourn.players@gmail.com or redbournplayers@gmail.com, I think either works.
Well, that's exciting. I might ask Chris Hemmel offline, our IT expert, to sort of look into the technology behind that. He's our IT guru in the village. So thanks, David. Good stuff. So anything else you want to say about the players before I ask you about the denouement, which is one of my favourite words of the snatch-ups next week, which we're all incredibly excited about?
Absolutely. No, I think that was it. I think that's all the details that we have. Obviously, publicity for the play will be going up really from the weekend as well. We'll get our banner up and the poster, so everyone hopefully will see that. Come along to the play, and anyone who wants to join, then please get in touch. You'll be very welcome.
Lovely. Well, I certainly will. I'm really looking forward to that. So on the snatch-ups then, now I'm not obviously asking for any sneak sort of confidential information, but it is the last episode and the end of the
last episode. Yes, it does seem a few weeks, and indeed is a few weeks since the penultimate one. But the final episode is on the Newsbite next Wednesday. It's been interesting because I had several potential storylines on that, and it's all getting quite dramatic. So lots to look forward to there as to exactly what happens, because we have left them dangling over the cliff.
Yes.
And as to how they get out of it and what happens.
And do we actually, on a logistical point, David, do we need more time to allocate to the next week? Is it going to be sort of an extended episode, or is it just a normal sort of duration, or don't you know yet?
It should be a normal. I thought about whether you do sort of a double length episode or something, but no, it will be the usual sort of length. But we're going to start by reprising where we left it. Good. Just to sort of put it into context and take it from there.
Lovely. Well, listen, thank you so much for the update. I'm sure everyone listening is enthused and excited by our wonderful amateur dramatic society in the village. I certainly am, because I can see your hut from where I live. I don't know why I'm pointing there, because no one
Well,
knows.
absolutely. Redbourn, is very lucky to have, drama being performed, which is a short walk from the village hall. And it's, although I say it myself, I mean, it is, we put on a good quality of drama. I mean, so many people think, oh, it's Amdram, it's going to be sort of, wobbly scenery and it's far from it. I think people will be surprised. It's a lot better than you think.
I'm sure it is. Well, David, we're looking forward to seeing the production and obviously the denouement of the Snatch Ups next week. Thanks for coming on the Wood Newsbite today. And I look forward to seeing you in character next Wednesday morning. Next Wednesday morning, we look forward to it, Simon. Lovely. And I will sign off by saying what I was just saying to Olive before we started. We were talking about acting and stuff. I know I will never play the Dane. And I say that with a sort of a sad, melancholy look. On that note, thank you very much, David. We'll catch up with you next week. Okay, thank you, Simon. Cheers, David. And now I'm on to our wonderful IT director and producer, Olive, who's going to tell us a little bit about what's on, off, what's new, all this sort of thing. Olive, over to you.
Yeah, well, I was having a quick look around the village and I came up with a vacancy for the parish councillor, which I hadn't realised. Closing date for expressing interest to the parish clerk in the parish centre is the 7th of July. And there's going to be interviews on the 22nd of July. So you haven't got long to get your requests in there if you want to make a difference to the village. A couple of topics on books. The library is open for limited browsing and returns. You can also order books online for collection, and they're open Mondays and Wednesdays 2 till 5 and Saturdays 10 till 1. So that's absolutely great to see the library back again. And also, people may not know about the Little Redbourn Book Hub, which is open 9 till 4 every day in Holts Meadow. That's worth exploring as well. Next week, I have to say, is our last Community Newsbite. We would love to hear your stories about lockdown, what you have learnt, perhaps your hopes for the new era, what you've done or what you will be doing differently, etc. We're going to do a bit of a review on what AIR has done during this period of time. And so we'd love to hear your views. And you can either post them into our email address, you can put them on the Facebook page for Active in Redbourn, or you can give us a quick voice clip and we might be able to play those as well, as long as we don't have too many. But please do pop your stories about lockdown in. We would love to have them. And then, of course, COVID regulations permitting, let's just give you a little bit of an update on things which are happening. Bank Holiday Monday, as we were talking about, 11 till 4, August the 30th, Blue Tangerine Federation, aka St Luke's School, for those who don't make the connection with Blue Tangerine. It's their charity fun day. September the 4th is Classics on the Common, noon till 5 p.m. I'm sure they're still looking for volunteers. Yeah, so please volunteer if you possibly can. It doesn't have to be, I don't think, for the whole time. You can just volunteer for a few hours at a time. There's the Air Fair on September the 18th, where a lot of the local sports and leisure and well-being activities are going to be promoting what they do up at the Blue Tangerine Federation, otherwise known as St Luke's School. That's September the 18th. And of course, we'll have the Blue Tangerine Cafe up there. And then finally, Conkathon. I was noticing today on the Common, the conkers are growing. So early October, something like that, when conkers permit, is going to be our Conkathon. So that's what all I would like to cover for today. Please send in your stories about lockdown. We'd love to hear them. And I think that's the end of the on and off Redbourn, Simon.
Thank you very much, Olive. I love the fact that the conkers might permit it or not. I've got this thing in my head about conkers being sort of sentient in some way and allowing the thing to go ahead. That's just my old sense of humour.
Well, they're definitely in charge.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. I don't think we have a Redbourn Recommends today, do we? So
no, we don't.
So the little plug for that, as Olive has said, and as I said earlier, it's the last ever Newsbite next week. If you want to sneak in one last brilliant Redbourn Recommends, this is your time. Just get it to us and we'll play it next Wednesday. That's it for today. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, obviously, to our speakers and guests today, everybody for dialing in. And obviously, reminder that next week we have the denouement. I just love saying that word. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing it correctly, but the denouement of the snatch-ups, which will be absolutely brilliant. And a plug from me, there's all this talk about football, which is great, and it's all very exciting. But of course, as we all know, the world's greatest sporting event starts this weekend, which is the Tour de France. So by the time that we get together for the final time next Wednesday, the Tour de France will be underway. And for me, I can't wait. Enjoy your week, everybody. Stay safe, and we look forward to catching up with you next Wednesday. Have a lovely day, and cheerio.